This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Good afternoon. Tony Rogers here, your host for Urbanology, the Art of War. It's been an interesting experience for the last 2 years. I've developed a clear, focused understanding that my last purpose here on this earth will be to create an understanding of how Africans and African Americans, Caribbean Americans, but we're all African, to become clear and understanding that we are all African, and the diaspora begins to open. Because at that time, and perhaps not in my time, but at that time, that's when I believe we'll be coming full circle. I have a guest today. My first guest is a person that I'm happy to work with. Sally is from Guinea, and she is the student coordinator of CUNY Schools, in a program called BAD, which is building a brighter African diaspora. And so happens Sally is a neighbor from my office in the building. So that's the way life has been going on as it relates to how there's something happening. I feel that I've been put in a position to play a small part in making it happening based on what I've been presented with, whether it's the relationship with Soul City, the tourism board, Harlem Week, all of those types of things have prepared me to actually have a shot at it from my perspective as to what I think I have been put here to do. My next guest, and I hope that he's able to get on, is Angelo. Oh, that's his, Sally Salamento de Moya.
Yes, correct.
And the other thing with Sally, which is again helpful, is because I'm on the other end. Sally is coming in as a young person developing organizations to do exactly what I'm saying. So by us being neighbors could not have been an accident. But nevertheless, my next guest, and I hope he's on, Angelo Parker. And hello, Angelo. Angelo is the director, and I hope I get this right, the director of the Northern Regional Ghana Tourism Agency.
You are right.
Thank you. And that's very important, because part of what we've been doing was to begin to create a situation that allow for African and Caribbean Americans to become aware of who they are. And even though this may sound crazy here, but there's something to it. And I'm going to bring my next guest, and something has happened to bring this together, and that's why I'm kind of going through this dialogue. And I don't know whether you're used to churches, but I grew up in the South, so we go through this thing to kind of make a point. But Tango Kalaman, and I think I got that right. Tango, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm great. I hope everyone is doing well.
Now I began to talk to Tango because he's looking at creating music as an avenue to have this diaspora come together. And Sally is looking at the same thing. Matter of fact, she has an event coming up in our building to do exactly that. Coming up, I think it's Friday, or what is the 29th, right? Sally?
Yes, October 29th at 5 p.m.
With students throughout CUNY. But I'm saying all of
Great.
this to build a point. I Before I was able to get on, I got a call from a good friend, Lloyd Williams. He's the president of the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce, the godfather of Harlem. If you need to get to Harlem, you have to go through Lloyd. And it's so interesting. He says, Tony, I just want to let you know our best friend, Marvin Kelly, is in Ghana. He's in the hospital. And I said, wow, I'm getting ready to talk to some people from Ghana. How strange is that? And he says, yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. It may be something, a urinary tract, but I'm going to text you his information. And I said, well, after this presentation, that might be something that I can talk about. He says, now he's a citizen now. He moved there, and his boy Stevie Wonder also has moved there. So I said, well, isn't that something? All of the things that we were talking about seem to come together. So I'm going to send you Marvin Kelly's information, so that obviously if there's anything that you can do in the hospital that he's in, I don't know, but that would be helpful. And it would be helpful for you because Marvin Kelly lives there. He's a citizen now. And he's also
Nice.
close to, and I just found out that Stevie has a place there now. So how interesting could that be as it relates to introduction to why this whole concept is something that I believe we're in the right place at the right time. I'm sorry for the long dialogue, but I would like first for Sally just to give a little information about what she's going to do, and then we'll get into Angelo. And I really have a lot of things that I want to have an uninterrupted dialogue with you about some of the things that I think people should know about Ghana. But Sally, just briefly talk about why you're doing what you're doing and what it is that you want to accomplish, and also the event that you're planning.
Thank you, Mr. Tony. So, building a broader African diaspora, BBAD, BBAD for short, is a nonprofit organization that focuses on bringing people of African descent together in order to develop the continent of Africa. We do that through entrepreneurship and through education. Each year, we have four focuses: food self sufficiency, reaching workforce development, education and mental health, and technology development. The different student groups that we work with go through a thorough training about project management, and they end up getting out of our program with a business plan. And then, if they want to continue with us, they have the opportunity to keep pitching. We do all of this while teaching them about who are they as African descents. What does it mean to be from Africa? What does it mean to be here in the Caribbean, in the United States, or whatever, knowing that you're from African descent, not necessarily from where exactly, and still working for the betterment of the continent. We are now a registered nonprofit organization, and this fall we are actively recruiting new members, but also we are looking for professionals and career entrepreneurs who can come to work with us, coach our students. And like Mr. Tony said, our student population is mainly comprised of CUNY students. We had our welcome back barbecue last week, and we will have our Mix and Mingle Masquerade Networking event next week on October 29th at 5 p.m., where we expect to see students, community members, community organizers come together, speak to each other, and also give people background about BBAD and how they can get involved in this movement. Because for me, BBAD is mainly a movement. How do we how do we stop the currents that we have seen this whole time? How
And
do we bring
Sally,
people together?
what I want you to do based on the time, I want you to do
Mhm.
two things for me. Let people know who you are,
Okay.
who's Sally, and then have I have to talk to the director. I have some things that I want to make sure that I get in.
Okay.
So, who are you, and you are what to bad?
Okay. So I am the founder and CEO of Building a Brighter African Diaspora. I am also a student at CUNY. I am a trustee of the City University of New York and the chairperson of the CUNY University Student Senate, as well as the student government president at the New York City College of Technology.
Thank you. And I wanted you to understand that what we're talking about is now being put into the hands of educated people from both sides of the water to begin to understand what we know and what we've been trying to do for many years. But based on the technology where we can talk to each other, I think we are now beginning to reach a point where a lot of this will take it to another level. But I would like to have some time and to, first of all, thank you, Tango, for allowing us to meet. Angelo, uh, could you just give the listeners a little bit of your background and what you're doing now and your focus on this diaspora awakening? Can't hear you.
Yeah, its mic is muted.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, kindly
Yeah.
unmute. Your mic is muted, so kindly
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Angelo Dogbe. I'm the director for Ghana Tourism Authority in the northern region. And Ghana Tourism Authority, we are the main government agent for promoting and marketing of tourism, licensing and regulation of tourism enterprises, and research also into tourism. And one of our marketing activities or promotion of tourism has been focused mainly on the African American or the diaspora. So we had to come out with a big event that is a year of return. We are following up with Beyond the Return. So those are, in short, what we are doing now as an intro. Thank you.
And as it relates to your position, do you find that it's easy to develop marketing plans that would be actually what you did, I think, in 2019, attracting African and Caribbean Americans back? The historic reasons for why, just like in Senegal, we're working in Senegal, and of course, we know Goree Island, and that's very emotional and is a historic component to Senegal. Now, I know Ghana has had similar experiences as well most of Africa, but there's some things that are unique to Ghana that a lot of people might not know, especially from the diaspora period, but African and Caribbean Americans. Could you talk just briefly about some of that?
Yes, actually, we try to leverage on our competencies in connection with the African American. So in 2009, we got Barack Obama to visit Ghana, and one of the iconic places in relation or connection to slave trader we have are the castles or the slave routes that we have over here. Um, we try to take advantage of that. So, in commemoration of 400 years of slavery, which was in 2019, we decided to launch it as a big event. So, we had a program which one was the birth of nations that talks more about Africa, but focus on Ghana because most of the slave departure or the slave trade took place somewhere on the West African coast, about 9 countries out of the numerous that were on the coast. Then also we focus on Black Becca. It's a promotional strategy to invite back home and position Ghana as the mecca for the diaspora. And then also we also had the Freedom of Fear project, where most of ancestry DNAs were actually made available for the diasporans who want to come and trace their roots, because most of them know they have connections, but for all these years, I mean, they were lost. So those were 3 key projects, programs that we handled during the year of return. Besides the marketing and other things, we also got our president to declare the year of return in 2019. So it wasn't just on a smaller scale, but we got all the necessary people involved: the presidency, the tourism authority, the international marketing. We got the big media houses, the CNN, the Al Jazeera, and also linked up with the diasporan community, because we have, as you said, some of them are right here: Steve Wonder, Bob Marley's wife. Uh, we have the Pan African Festival, Emancipation. So we got a couple of diasporans who have come to settle here, and they were all actually parts of this event to make it a success.
Well, one of the things that I've learned, and is something that I try to contribute to wherever I go as a consultant, is that it's always wiser to have people come to you rather than you going to them. And if you can create situations that are as a such that people would want to be a part of it, sometimes a negotiation is better than if you're going to try to get them to come to something. Do you understand my thought? And I only say that to say that you have so much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have so many wonderful. I've done research, and there's so much that I have to say is not being used. And sometimes when we talk about marketing, sometimes we don't always want to see ourselves like others see us. We want to see ourselves like we are, and sometimes that's not always good. We have to see both sides. What we're trying to do with the Harlem Tourism Board is to create, as we're working in Senegal also, is to try to be that bridge to kind of provide both sides of the story as it relates to, from the African point of view, as well as was the American and the Caribbean point of view. And I think that means getting to the people. The stars are great. and, and it's great to have the kings, but if you have the people, you got the politics, and if you have the people and the product, you got the money. So the idea is, what we're trying to do with the tourism board is to create a way to get the people, and if we get the people, the stars are already there, but they'll buy in, and that's where I think tango comes in as it relates to bringing music and people together Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Tony, for this. I really, really appreciate it. Like you rightfully put it, my name is Mongo, and we founded an organization called the Taste of Africa, and the Taste of Africa basically is about the unification of the African continent and its people across the world. And in doing so, we initiated a festival called Cultural Oneness because we see every human being, our identity lives in our cultures, and that's who we are as an African people, and that can translate, with us wherever we find ourselves in the world, and that is what has brought about the lifestyles or the music journey across the globe, especially America. And mostly because we are too far away from each other, and thanks God to technology now, people get to see things, and people get to know what really is going on, or how Africa really looks like. But before now, it wasn't like that. And the DNA, there's nothing we can do about it. It always vibrates in us, within our spirits, and that is why you have all the music and the hip hop, the R&B, and all that, because that was the only surviving tool for our ancestors. When they get to the source of America, and the same thing when you touch down in Africa. If I'm talking of Ghana, you will get to feel and you understand, oh, okay, this is where we got our music from, this is where everything started from, and this is where our culture came from. And that is what this project we building, to have that kind of unification conversation, to dialogue on our cultures and see the DNA and where those cultures really came from, and how it works for us as people of African descent across the globe. And we can hear ourselves through those cultures. We can feel ourselves through those cultures, and that will bring the unification that we're looking for as an African people across the world, and within the continent mostly. Yeah. So basically, yeah, that's what it is.
So this the idea is to have music be
Yep.
that entity, that energy that carries the culture, because no matter
Exactly.
what your DNA is, the sound of music has a certain type of relationship that you just can't get away from. So
Very true.
you may not like me, but you might like what I'm saying,
The music.
singing. But
Exactly.
I believe that the important thing that I'm glad that you're here is that we now have some interesting opportunities, and why I'm happy to have a person like Sally, a student who is able to talk and hear certain things from both sides too, uh, because that allows for a strong connection of understanding both worlds. Because we've been colonized differently. you know, I mean, it was the same basic thing, not to like keep us not liking ourselves, but
Mhm.
but depending on where you were, there, that's how you think.
Yep.
And to be able to kind of redo that, we have to have some young people, because I know I'm 75, and I know some of the things that I'm hearing. I'm saying, yeah, I know it's the right thing to say, but deep down inside of me, it may not be what I want to do. But
All right.
but but that
And the energy.
coming together is one of those things, and that's
Yep.
been coming together, creating a way where if I'm strong, you're strong, and if you're strong, I'm strong, and
Very
that's the
true.
only thing that we have to use as our common ground. If I can make you, strong, that automatically helps me, and I can't understand how something that simple tends to be so difficult to hold on to. Maybe somebody might be able to help me with that.
Well, the point is, it is simple, but it is not simple. The African the our life is we rooted out is a family, lifestyle that we have here in Africa. We know we kind of build our systems or our cultures through our family ties, and that is the ties that has been broken, among us as South African people. So we are now very limited to wife and husband and children, and we forget about the extended, family, and that is who we were as people, that we walk 10, 20 miles, to go and check out on your neighbor and see how he or she is doing. That has been broken. And it is not only the diaspora that it has been broken, even within us as a continent, that has also been broken, for us as an African people here living in Africa. And that have distanced us away from each other. And like I said, our culture is something that similarity is there. If, like you mentioned, Sally, if I should step in Senegal, I'm sure that's where originally she's from. There are things that Senegalese do that are no different from Ghanaians, and that has also been broken. Now we separated, it become a Senegalese people, it become a Ghanaian movement, but that is a culture that belongs to all of us. And through that culture, Sally will get to know that he is related to me somehow, or he's related to Mr. Angelo here somehow, through that culture, because there are things that are performed, and which his or her tribe also performs such things that are related to each other. And that has been taken away from us. And it is not completely gone, because it lives in us. Like I said, once our ancestors touched the source of the US, the only thing that remains was them is that the music. And if you come to Ghana, you go to the farms, the rural areas, we go to farm with music. We sing while we farm. And the same thing happens when you watch the movies when they were in the plantations. You hear them singing, in as much it has been corrupted to be more like a gospel music and all that, but that wasn't it, because our music carry informations. It carry detailed informations that we send across through the music. Our dance has information. It's only us with the DNA that understand, that can decode such informations. But it has been changed. But as we see today, I would say the world is evolving. We are coming back to who we are as an African people. It wouldn't be easy, and it wouldn't be now. But the engine have started, and Mr. Tony, like you said, you are 75, and you are still on this battle with us. So that means we know the drivers of the engine. So me and Sally and Ms. Angelo will say more like the same as Mr. Tony. But me and Sally, Mr. Tony and Angelo, you are leaving the engine, the starting. We are the passengers now, and you people are driving. So we see the force that you are driving with. So tomorrow, when you are no more there, we'll pick the same, we'll sit in the driver's seat, and having another young, generation as passengers that we move. And bit by bit, I will say that mindset will come to realization that no, this is not the path, this is not who we are, but our true identity lives somewhere else, that we need to catch up to it. And like I said, in the name of technology, people are seeing Africa. I used to have a friend that said she spent almost 4 or 5 years getting a visa to Ghana. And anytime she's on the street of Ghana and she sees other race, she get very angry. So I come here as a why. I said, Tango, you don't know, it took me 4 to 5 years to get visa to come here. So they said we're living in trees, we sleep on. So she's wondering, if these people sleep on trees, what are you guys doing here? That was the question she asked. But in the name of technology, that is open to all of us, knowing that we don't sleep in trees. We are the survivors of the world. Everything depends on Africa. And now you find yourself that you need to come home so we can build ourselves and the continent better.
Well, there's Asian African concept that there's a yin and yang in everything.
Yep.
And I guess as we start to move towards this conversation, I would like to also say that, yes, through technology, what we're doing now gives us the opportunity to talk to each other and start a foundation that probably will build after we're gone. But it's on the other side of it is that if we don't do that, those who have been empowered to do what they have done for all of these years will continue to be able to create that psychological concept. And
Mhm.
at this time, the only place that really is going to be of tremendous value is Africa. If you look at the resources, if you look at where the gold, if you look at where the oil, if you look at where all of the minerals, if you look at where all of that is, it's in the continent of Africa. And if you think that we've been treated bad now, look at what's happening in Europe. The Mussolini party is Italy. Sweden, which was always neutral or far right, and can't let America escape. you know, we have to begin to prepare ourselves for a time, even if it doesn't happen, to prepare ourselves for a time to come together to defend probably the last survival force of the earth. And if it's not done right, there's going to be a problem. But I believe, I'm a spiritual person. I believe that the reason why we're here now and the reason why we're having this conversation is at least not only us, but other people will have that thought pattern, that seed, that awakening the sleeping giant is more important, is so important now. And we are getting the signs. We just have to, there's no such thing as coincidence. A coincidence is the the message from our ancestors. So for Sally being right next door to me with what she's doing and how she's able to do some of the work that I probably won't be able to do, but at least can help people like you, that's not a coincidence. And so I want to thank you all. I know that it's late wherever you are, and and I want to again allow for you to know that this is very meaningful to me, and I hope to those who are looking at it, because what it means is that we have, thanks to the Matt McCoy and Soul Cities, we can control our narrative. So I would like for you just to say a couple of things in passing before we close, and I'd like to start with you, Angela. Yeah, Mike.
Mike.
Sorry, I've been listening attentively. Thank you very much. I think this is a great opportunity for us to connect. And as you say, we have to awaken the sleeping giants. And I believe nobody is going to do it for us. We cannot sit down and wait or always go out to beg. We have everything, as you said, we have all the resources here, be it natural, be it culture, be it hospitality, be it the gold, the oil, everything. And I think the patterns have been broken from us who are now on the other side. This is a platform to connect and see how we can welcome back them home. And then together, we chart the course for a better African, either here, the Caribbean, or in the diaspora. Thank you.
Dango, your thoughts?
Yes, to I know my boss, Mr. Angelo, he has said it all. But like he said, just to add up to that, is, we had everything, but now what we are lacking is a collaborative working together, as people. That is what is still holding us hostage as people of the continent and people of the diaspora. We are still divided, in pieces. And until we come together as people, I'm sure we'll still be where we are, and our resources will keep on being exploited, everywhere, across the world. So we are here in Africa. Everything is here. The fact is to know that you're always welcome home. With all the expertise that you have, all the experience that you have learned, how can we work together to make the continent better? And with Mr. Angelo, they've been an authority, making sure they give us a proper facilitation to make sure whatever your input or whatever you are bringing to the country will be well, received, and will be well, facilitated for, to give you a free, grounds, to execute all what you want to do, so we can work together. Now, I think what is remaining for us is collaboration. Let's work together as people of the continent, the diaspora, and across the world. Wherever we find ourselves, we need to come together.
And Tango, you have an event that you're planning, or there are plans for an event. Can you just briefly just talk a little bit about what that is?
Yeah. So the event is it's a festival. It's called Cultural Oneness Festival, and mainly the Cultural Oneness Festival is to outline and also project the similarity of our cultures among us as an African people in the continent and of the diaspora, and even the world at large, just to let the world know that this is the origination of all the cultures. Everything, started from Africa, and all the cultures are from here. They just evolve, into new settings, or to a current, life of the world. So the Cultural Oneness Festival is mainly to project the similarities of our cultures, bring us together as an African people, and to also exhibit what we have, our tourism side, our culture, the business opportunities that are available within the continent that African people can explore, to also give themselves a stable, grounds to do business. And we are also looking at having the cultural roots tour.
What would be the dates?
Our diasporans
they go. Do you have dates solidified as of yet?
Yes, we are looking to have the launch. We are looking to have the launch of it. We are scheduling for 30th of November. Mm-hmm. We still are in confirmation on that, and once that is confirmed, we'll be able to execute from there. So I know you met my partner before.
Sorry? Keep us. Well, we're going to be working together anyway. So, matter of fact,
exactly. Yes. So
there's Richard Cox, who's a vice president of programming. He's on. I think he's been in contact with you.
Yes.
He's going to be there around that time, to kind of look at things, because we're starting to look at some of the other things that we might want to do.
It's excellent. Yes.
Sally, you've heard all of this from a young person's standpoint. What's your thoughts, and where do you think this type of collaboration can go?
This is really good to hear. It's nice to see that there are way more people having this type of mindset. I like to say that Africa is like the base, the source. It's where everything starts and it's where everything ends. We have so much resources that we've been talking about for such a long time. And when there is sugar, there are ants and other insects that try to get it. And so we cannot deny the role of neocolonialism in what we're trying to do here today, and the fact that Africa is the place where all the problems kind of the world can be solved based on its wealth. And one of the other conversation that we should have is, how can we be the people to have control over our resources, have control over our wealth, and how it is crucial that this work happens with all the people of African descent all over the world. So it's really a relief to hear all of this, and to hear that so many people are taking so many initiatives to make sure that this happens.
Well, thank you. And again, Sally, you are the future. What I also would like to, and I promised that I would talk to him, I had an interview yesterday with Tony Abulu, and he's from Nigeria. And I'm not sure whether you guys are familiar with it, but he's developing a program, and it's blazechannel.com. And that, if you get a chance, it's www.blazechannel.com, and it provides a lot of opportunities. One of the things that he's trying to do is to get it regulated to be a Western Union that we control as far as transferring funds and things like that. So it's an interesting site, and it only goes to say there are a lot of things that are happening to go as to what you're talking about. We just have to understand that these things are not coincidental. We are just fortunate to be in the area where we're supposed to be in order to continue something that has been planned and will be planned long before we're gone. At least that's my thought pattern. But again, Soul City, Matt McCoy is, the technology, he was doing most of this in his car. We are at a point now where it's scary for me because I, I remember black and white television, where you had to have an antenna and you would then take your coat hanger when your antenna broke and you would have to turn the coat hanger in a certain way. And my dad, when sports was coming, they always worked when you were there, it would, like, your electricity would go into it. So he would say, stand there. And I would have to stand there while the game was up. So that's kind of like a long way from where you guys are now. But I believe that it's important. And I'll make sure that you have a way to reach Sally, and to you, for you to know, Sally, that any of the students in CUNY, and the CUNY is the largest public institution. We have, 12 colleges?
25.
25. And it's a big entity. Engineering, architecture, the only public engineering school in New York City. That's why so many. So the idea here, though, is that based on the organization that Sally has, it's a track. So if once there's a relationship between you and the people who are trying to get into school in the States, there's a way not only for them to have that track, but people who can bring them in and let them know what's going on, because that's what our organization is doing. So that's where we can develop into creating a situation where I know I am, and I'm pretty sure you guys, you're probably not that much younger than me. We got a lot of stuff that we got to erase. Not to say that it was all bad, but a lot of it, about who we are, where we come from, and what's good and what's bad, was kind of programmed into us to keep us in a certain position. And now we're at a point where we can kind of deprogram ourselves, and that's hard. I know it's hard for me. I've been around a long time, but you can teach old dog new tricks. So I would like to again praise our ancestors for allowing for this conversation to take place. I don't usually have that much dialogue, but I'm so excited how this turned out. Sometimes it gets the best of me. It's like the preachers, and we would be there all day because they got the spirit. So nevertheless, thank you again, Angelo. Oh, and I will talk to you, my buddy. I got to find out what hospital he's in, so that at least you can know. And he's a good contact. And Richard Cox will be down with you, hopefully soon, and you guys can connect as it relates to allowing for you to have that support you might need from the Harlem Tourism Board.
Okay.
And thank you all. I appreciate it. We will be in Senegal December 8th to the 15th. So if anybody in Ghana want to hang out with us or do anything, let us know. We're working with Ravina Tours. Matter of fact, I have to talk to you about, if we start doing tours. I have just developed a relationship with Ravina Tours. Do you allow for other tour groups to work in bringing tours to Ghana? Is that?
Oh yes. Oh yes. There's a lot
Okay.
that's going on, so we can actually expand it beyond what is going on now.
It's something that we could talk about.
Yeah.
Right. Which is one of the things, and I end with the beauty of, I guess, an African coming in. I was at a meeting in Senegal, and it was funny because there were different political concepts, and there were different, as you guys know, sometimes tribal concepts in politics. They all come together. And when all of this was happening, and a friend was telling me, and then I stood up and said, "Well, look, I could be your cousin, your brother, your great. I don't know where I'm from. That has bothered me, but it gives me an ability at least to say you don't know whether I'm you or what, and that allows for me to kind of brain certain things together because I'm not on either side, which I guess is part of how we are being structured at this point. Thank you so much. I appreciate the conversation. Can you just promise me that this will be the last that we'll stay, especially I'm going to have to call you about my brother. I got to find out, you know, what's happening with him. And I know you'll take care of him. Okay.
No problem. We will do that. Just
All
give
right.
us the information, and then
And,
we do
and
the
thank
follow
you
up.
all. I appreciate
Okay.
it. And hopefully we'll be back soon. And we're looking to do a fan trip at some point when things happen to Brain Soul City and do some recordings and stuff down there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a great idea, and we are always open
Okay.
to let it happen. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you, and then nice meeting you, Salimatu. Hope we
Thank
connect
you.
very soon. Yeah. Again. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, Sal, I think, well, I know, I don't think, the connection as it relates to the students, the educational component, Sally would be a good contact if you have students who are looking to come to the States, especially, in a public institution, which is a lot cheaper, but has the same quality as some of the higher, price
Yeah.
institutions. Um, Again, City College, CCNY, has always had that reputation. So uh, please make sure that Sally, you know what your mission is. So I just want to let you guys know you need to make the contacts and do what you need to do.
We will.
And, all right, take care.
Okay. Take
See you
care
soon.
too.
All right.
And
Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
again for your time. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you too for having us. We really appreciate that. Yeah, blessings.
And that's the end of our show. I appreciate again Matt McCoy, Soul City TV, and all of the people who make this possible. We are Halloween is coming up, and if you pick up the Harlem Community News this week, there's a major event that's taking place at City College on Halloween. It's called Scare Fest, and City College has a lot of tunnels that run throughout the campus, and they're dark and spooky. And the theatrical students dress up and do all kinds of skits. It's a really interesting thing. So if you're close to the Harlem Community News, we have an English, Spanish outlet that tells you all about what's going to take place. And there are a number of state office building also will be having some events. So nevertheless, it's good to have the opportunity to talk to you. I believe we'll be on before the Harlem Mile. That's the marathon, November the 6th. I'm sure that we'll be on so that we can talk a little bit about that and what's going to take place during that day. And I think Global Champagne Day. That's the October the 28th. So buy a bottle of champagne if you drink champagne and be a part of what people are doing throughout the world. And take care. Thank you, Matt McCoy, and I'll be seeing you next week. God willing. Bye.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Hey, what's happening? The art of war with love.